Hello and welcome to Experiencing Love. I'm your host, Philip Jocks, and I am so glad that you're here. Today I got something a little bit different once again. I wanted to draw for you, but this time on my iPad, and make it a little bit more of a fun animation for what I'm talking about. I've never done something like this before, so I'm a bit excited, a bit nervous. If you enjoy, let me know. Leave a comment down below, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff, so that I know, hey, Philip, maybe do this again. Maybe have some fun again. Today I talk a little bit about how I ego checked myself pretty hard in order to probably keep myself safe, which is kind of important, but to also find that fine line between ego and pursuing big goals. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So I just had to greatly ego check myself just now. And honestly, it's probably a good thing that I did. And thank God for it. Jeez. So a little backstory. The reason I had to just do that is because I started making these plans for myself to go on an absurdly long bike ride over the course of 2 days. It's absurdly long for me and much more than I've ever done before. So here's the plan. I wanted to train a bit more on my bike. The furthest I've ever done was probably just around 50 miles in one session. That was about 4 hours. And the thing that really limited me there was actually my butt. My butt hurt so bad. It was so sore by the end of it that it was just not enjoyable. It kind of felt like I was standing the whole time, like I was using more leg muscles than I needed to because I didn't want to put pressure on my butt. So that's the longest I've ever done. And that was also like last year. This year, I haven't done more than 25 miles, maybe, in one go. And granted, it was actually really easy to do those 25, so maybe that's where the ego's coming in. So with that in mind, I had this grand idea that I wanted to go visit my family that lives out in Pennsylvania. And there was a trail that I created on maps, whatever, that would actually let me get there with very minimal contact with roads, right? I was going to be able to follow a river path, I guess, canal path, and then head over to the Delaware River and take that up. And basically, the whole route would have taken about 11 hours with no stops and was going to be 120 miles long. So this was the ego check, because not only did I think I was going to be able to do that, which who knows, maybe I could, but I also believe that, oh yeah, because it's slightly uphill, on average, all the way there, I could probably ride it back because it'll be, pretty much downhill on average on the way back. So I thought that I could do 240 miles in 2 days, having done no more than 50 in one sitting. So then I had to really think about it for a sec. And I had to be like, you know what? Maybe there's ways to test out if I could do this, actually train for it a little better. Do a shorter path, but one that I can do multiple times to reach even like 75 miles. Like, can I reach 75 and be okay to keep going? Because imagine that. Imagine riding for 75 miles, which would have pushed me already, and then reach that point where I'm like, I can't go any further, and still being 50 miles away from my destination. That would suck. And of course, someone could come pick me up. I wouldn't be super far away, but that's one of those moments where it goes against like my own beliefs of like, I would have gotten myself in a situation and have had to inconvenience someone else to save me from it. So I don't want to do that. I want to make sure that if I'm throwing myself at a challenge like this, I'm able to really step up and complete it, even if it means just doing the one way there and then having someone pick me up from there. At the very least, it could be an opportunity for my family to come visit my other family in Pennsylvania. But that being said, I ended up looking up online. I was like, all right, why do people get these beliefs that their body can do so much more than they've ever handled before? And just from that simple Google search, there's so many different reasons. And I'm just going through it and I'm like, wow, I am waist deep in like the Dunning-Kruger effect, where I'm overestimating how much I can handle because I haven't experienced that level before. Like, I've got this overconfidence that is just out of this world, and I've had it before. Oh my gosh. I would usually just call this like the male ego or something, which I think has a little bit to do with it, because one of the things on here is like desire for status, and I'm like, you know what, there is a little bit of that. Like, there's definitely a part of me that's less about doing this to train and more about like, I want to be able to say that I did it, right? It was the same thing a long time ago when I actually started training for an Ironman, and I was like, I less so want the accomplishment of the Ironman and more so to say, I did an Ironman. You know what I mean? And maybe that's not the worst thing in the world, but it does kind of take away from my why, my purpose for doing crazy things like this, right? That being said, I still want to complete an Ironman one day. And part of this bike ride, my goal was going to be like, okay, you know what? I could handle the bike portion of the Ironman. Cool. But doing so like without training, like maybe not the smartest thing. Like I think that would actually take me out for like a couple days. My legs would be cooked. And I think there's just this part of me that's like, I've never experienced something like that. So I don't really know what my full limits are. Like, I don't know what my full limits are on my legs. I don't know what my full limits are on like my energy and my breathing. I was like, oh, what if I got like extra padding for my butt, right? Like if that was the limiting factor, how much further could I really go? So there's like that part, like that's like curious. That's wondering, okay, you know what? Maybe I could go for a very long time. And let me be so real, I still think I can, which is why I have to like test this out on myself, which is why I have to go on these shorter rides so that I don't absolutely just overextend past my current capabilities, because I know I can get there. That feels like extremely realistic. I know eventually with enough training, with enough practice, with enough effort, I could build up the skills I need and the conditioning I need to be able to handle a ride like that. I've always loved and trusted my legs. I'm incredibly grateful for them. And I know that my legs are probably some of the strongest parts of my body, right? I think that's true for everyone. I just mean my legs were always the easiest to train for me. I always loved leg day at the gym, loved squats, loved running sports. I love jumping. I love this climbing now, right? Volleyball, like it's all stuff that legs can really excel at. And so I know I can get there. I know that eventually I could grow to be big and strong. I just don't want to hurt myself in the process. So I'm doing this ego check and saying, okay, you know what? That time frame that I would have done this 250 mile bike ride over the course of 2 days, how about I just take one shorter ride? And I say shorter ride, it'll still probably take me like 6 to 8 hours to try and do maybe 75, 80 miles or something like that. It'll still take a lot of effort, but I could do it in a safer way. So I just wanted to share that story because you know what? That's real. That's what's going on right now. And you know what's cool? Something that I really appreciate about myself, because sometimes you just got to give yourself that love. That's something, do that today for sure. But one thing that I really appreciate about myself is being able to notice when this ego is running wild. Like, how cool is it to have self-awareness, period? To be able to say, oh, you know what? Maybe I am doing a bit much right now. Maybe I am expecting a lot. Because this isn't even hope. This is like, I genuinely believe that I could do this. And it's a belief that could be very dangerous. And I believe a lot of people can experience this. It's good to believe you can do more. That's for sure. It's important to push yourself further and further to grow, to expand, to learn. But it's also important to do it in a way that's safe for the mind and body. Because I know so many people, especially recently, who are getting severely injured. Not because of doing something stupid like this, but just in general getting injured, right? And now their lives are incredibly inconvenienced by their current situation. I have some people that are about to go into surgery and they're going to be recovering for the next 2 months. I have some people who just did surgery on some bigger parts of their body and they're out for like 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, 9 months, right? They're not able to live the same lives that they lived before. And pretty much what I hear from all of them is that they took it for granted. They took what they were able to do for granted. Things like bending over and picking something up off the floor or using 2 hands to carry something from the kitchen to the living room. And so I take those stories and I remember that, you know what? I don't have to put myself in a situation like that. Like sometimes life happens, right? Some of these friends that I've had that are injured, they're actually not injured because of stuff that they've done. They're actually injured because of things they were born with. So these are more like corrective surgeries, I guess. And so they're doing it to live a better life later, but it's almost like they had to make it worse to get better later. And I'm over here wondering, okay, why am I going to purposely put myself in a crap situation when my body is working very well now? I'm definitely taking things for granted. When I mentioned before how much I love my legs, I constantly have to remind myself, thank God I could use my legs. Some people cannot use their legs. So anyways, I know that got a bit deep, but it's like I don't want to make my life worse for the sake of ego, for the sake of status, for the sake of being able to tell someone, oh yeah, the longest bike ride I did was 120 miles. Like, for what? Eventually I'll get there. Yeah. Eventually I'll do it, and I'll share with you when I do. That'll be a wild time lapse if I decide to record that. But I don't have to do that right now. Because also, I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, the plan was to literally do it next week or 2 Sundays from now. Like, I'm really talking zero planning whatsoever. I just had how far I wanted to go. I was going to probably buy like a portable battery for my phone, like a portable charger. I was going to pretty much take this path, and every single time I got a bit tired, find a convenience store somewhere nearby, get a bit of electrolytes, like chug down some water, and then just keep going. Like, when I told you preparation minimal, it was minimal, like less than minimal at this point. And it makes me laugh. It makes me laugh thinking about it. But I'm really appreciative that I even want to do something like this, that I could see that maybe there's a smarter way to do it. And I know that what's meant to be will happen, just like for you. I know what's meant to happen for you will happen for you. Whatever big goals you have, don't give up on them. I'm not telling you to completely stop, but I am saying that depending on what it is, make sure to keep yourself safe and healthy. Don't sacrifice yourself fully for the sake of a goal. Make sure that at the end of the day, whatever you want to do is in your own best interest, that you're going to learn and grow from it. And that way, nothing you ever do will be a failure. Nothing you ever do will be wasted. And with that, I'm going to conclude today's episode. I thank you so much for being here. I hope you enjoyed. I'm trying out this different style of video, trying out some quote-unquote drawings / animations on my iPad. I've never done something like this before, so let me know if you enjoyed. Let me know if this was interesting to watch, and if you did enjoy, hit that like button, subscribe, maybe hit that bell icon so you never miss another video. I plan to do more of these in the future. But until next time, just remember to always fill up with the love, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. I love you.